Hello, and welcome to this edition of Counselor's Corner. We are in the process of going through the 5 basic temperaments across the temperament spectrum. The temperaments, of course, are the melancholy, the choleric, the phlegmatic, the sanguine, and the supine. We've already done the melancholy and the choleric, and today in this edition, I want us to look for a few minutes at a temperament called the phlegmatic. Now, these brief videos that I'm doing are giving you the strengths and the weaknesses of each one of the 5 temperaments in its pure form. Most people are a combination of 2 temperaments or more. But in this particular case, I wanted to show you what each temperament happens to look like in its pure form. And so for this particular edition of Counselor's Corner, I'm going to be giving you 7 strengths and 7 weaknesses within the phlegmatic temperament. Now remember, it does not mean that when we talk about weaknesses, that we think about that weaknesses are negative things. Weaknesses can actually be very positive things. And before I get into this, remember again that when we talk about temperament, we're not talking about personality. We're not talking about character. We are talking about how God made you. God made each one of us unique in our temperament. And over the course of our lifetime, characteristics can change, our personalities can change, but temperament never changes. So having said all that, let's explore some of these. You may be a phlegmatic if you are calm and easygoing is the first thing I wanted to say. Phlegmatics are normally calm and easygoing. They don't get excited real quickly. They can analyze and look at a situation and remain calm and reasonable. Phlegmatics are also efficient. If they have to do something and you give them a task to do, they'll find the easiest way to do it, the most direct way to do it. They're very efficient in their time and how they manage their tasks. Phlegmatics also, they are good peacemakers and arbitrators. You may have that characteristic in you. For instance, if you have friends or family that come to you and always want you to settle arguments for them or listen to both sides, it's very possible that you have the phlegmatic temperament because they are the best of the 5 at being a peacemaker or an arbitrator, listening to both sides of a story. Phlegmatics are also very practical people. And that goes along with not only being efficient, but being practical as well. They are also, of the 5 temperaments, they're the most well-balanced. They have a nice balance between their strengths and their weaknesses. And that goes along with being calm and easygoing and practical. And so you can see that. Oh, yes, someone's asking, can I spell that? Yes, it's Phlegmatic, phlegmatic, Phlegmatic. Phlegmatic also, another strength is that they are good at detailed and tedious tasks. Again, that's part of that being efficient and being practical. You could give a phlegmatic a very complicated thing and they'll find a way to get it done. They'll have the most tedious tasks. For instance, a phlegmatic works very well as a bookkeeper or someone who handles accounts because it's very detailed. Other temperaments don't work so well in those type of jobs. And that's part of the thing as we discover what your temperament is. One of the things that we look at is the type of jobs or careers you should have based on the temperament that you have. So if you're a phlegmatic or you have that as a dominant part of your temperament, you may be very good at those tedious, detailed tasks that other people would not be interested in doing. Also, phlegmatics, because they're so easygoing and they're so calm, they are non-demanding. You will not have a phlegmatic get into your face or demand something from you or make a big scene. That's just not who their temperament is. That's just some of the strengths that go along with being a phlegmatic. But then on the other side, of course, in every temperament, there are strengths and there are also weaknesses. And as I said at the beginning, just because we list them as weaknesses does not mean that they are a weakness as we understand it. They're just different parts of the temperament, and we need to figure out how to take those weaknesses and make them into strengths. And so I wrote some of the weaknesses down here. For instance, if you are a phlegmatic, you're more of an observer than a participant. Some of the temperaments are very outgoing and life of the party. in the center of attention. But a phlegmatic will hand back a little bit. A phlegmatic will observe more. They'll be more quiet and listening more than actually participating more. Again, it's listed as a weakness, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is a weakness as in detrimental. Now, here is something that the phlegmatic does have. They can suffer from being indecisive and being procrastinators because they are so calm, because they're so easygoing, because they are non-demanding. They have a tendency within this temperament to put things off, to procrastinate. Once they get down to something, they can do a very good job at things, but it's actually getting them to that point. So if you are a pure phlegmatic, many times you will be indecisive as to which way to go. You'll be thinking about things and thinking about it and never actually coming to a decision. That can be a weakness, but that's something that we can work through and turn that into a positive. The phlegmatic very often is unemotional because they're not demanding, because they're indecisive. They tend to back off. Being an observer, they don't get involved in deep relationships as easy as some of the other temperaments. That's another thing I had written down here. They're either unwilling or not able to be involved in deep relationships. Some of the temperaments can get very deep, very heavily emotional, but the phlegmatic sits back a little bit. The phlegmatic also seeks others to do things, not themselves. A phlegmatic will often, because they're indecisive and because they procrastinate, other temperaments, other type people will come in and help them with things because the phlegmatic has a limited amount of energy and they guard how they use their energy. So they back off a little bit. And if something needs to get done and they're not making a decision or they're not going forward with something, very often they'll seek someone else to get it done for them. And the last thing I put down here is they are rarely self-sacrificing, meaning there are some temperaments that you'll go out of your way to help anyone. Sometimes in a phlegmatic case, they're not the most self-sacrificing. They're not the first one to volunteer or the first one to give up something. That does not mean that they're bad people. It's part of the temperament of how God made them. Now, the challenge in understanding temperament and learning about it to find out how God made you is once you discover what your temperament is, it will answer all these questions of life. What type of person you should be dating or marrying? What kind of job you should be doing? Is it a job where they're around a lot of people or a job working on your own? Why do you react the way you do? Why do you feel the way you do? All of these things are rooted in your temperament. And if you are interested in finding out what your temperament is, I encourage you to stop by and look at our website. We're livinginharmonyministries.org. livinginharmonyministries.org. I am a licensed Christian counselor, and I specialize in temperament counseling. If you want to know what your temperament is, if you have other counseling needs, please feel free to stop by and see me on the website. We do have a live chat. You can leave messages there for us. There are other videos talking about other temperaments. I will be doing further videos as time goes forward. We have blogs on there, but we are here to help you discover your temperament. And I've done it myself, and I can tell you it will change your life, because once you understand who you are in God, you will never be the same again. You'll never look at life the same way again. You'll never make the same kind of decisions that you've been making. So I hope that you'll take a moment and stop by and see us at livinginharmonyministries.org. Thanks for being with me. God bless you.